अस्सलाम वालेकुम। एजाज साहब ने बहुत धुआंधार तकरीर की, बहुत चीज़ें मनवा के भी गए हैं. So, as a lawyer, when I'm standing here in front of all of you, firstly, everybody falls asleep when you hear the word law, and it is 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So, I am going to try and get through my presentation without keeping you all too long. But there are some key messages which I feel it is important to deliver to this audience here. And it's really nice to see that this audience is a lot of young people, people with energy. So one is hoping that these messages will resonate with them. So I've called my talk Governance, a Cost or a Profit Center. And I think if I go around the room and I ask people, कि आपके ख्याल में corporate governance is just a drain on your resources or it actually helps you as a business? Unfortunately, a lot of people are going to say that it is probably a drain on their resources. And a lot of people tell me, in my work as a legal practitioner, we don't really want to go in that direction. They're suspicious. So why the heading? Because all of you believe that business is all about innovation, entrepreneurship, making money, being, as Ijaz Saab said, the gorillas in the field. And most people believe that, corporate governance is about regulator control. And that the regulator is there to regulate the power that all of you have within your businesses. So there seems to be this tension between submitting yourself to regulation and wanting to be a good entrepreneur. And therefore, this is the path that you believe you don't want to take because you believe that not taking this path is going to be more beneficial for you. And the only time when you want to take this path is when you want to list and raise funding in the capital markets, or when you have to go to the banks and the banks want greater transparency. Other than that, you don't believe that corporate governance has a role to play in your lives. But actually, what is the whole purpose of corporate governance? The whole purpose of corporate governance is not just to control your power. It is actually to help you to become more efficient and to be sustainable. To become more efficient and to be sustainable. To help you to ask the right questions and to put in the right structures that will help you to grow your business. So what are these structures? There's a board. And the Code of Corporate Governance Regulation says you need to have a board with the right mix of diversity, experience, and skill set. And you say, कि नहीं, हमें external लोग अपने board पे नहीं चाहिए. Actually, if you follow this and you get the right external people on your board, you are getting the right consultants and supporters for your business practically for free. Practically for free. You are getting people who are now embedded in supporting the growth and sustainability and the longevity of your company, and who are there. Most of them are not even shareholders, so they don't have a vested interest. They are there to ask the right questions and to challenge your way of thinking. By submitting yourselves to that challenge on the board, by having that diversity of experience, by having different viewpoints on your board, that doesn't mean कि आपकी ownership dilute हो गई है, but actually it means कि you are getting valuable opinions through that process. Then the whole idea of having independent directors is to add to that process of critical thinking. The whole idea of having a different chief executive and a chairperson is to add the checks and balances. And I can tell you that I now serve on the board of some private limited companies who have voluntarily decided to follow the Code of Corporate Governance regulations. And when you bring in non-executives, non-family members into that boardroom, and most people will choose their board very carefully. There'll be people they know, there'll be people with experience, there'll be people with good reputation. Actually, the behavior in that boardroom changes, and it changes for the better. Now, recently, Toshiba Corporation was delisted from the Tokyo Stock Exchange after 74 years. And what did the regulators say when a report was prepared about Toshiba? They said everybody who was in that room, they were yes men. And those yes men could not stand up and say, excuse me, आपके बिजनेस में एक मसला है. सुनना तो आपको है ना एज मेजॉरिटी शेयर होल्डर, बट इस वक्त उस बोर्डरूम के अंदर क्या कोई है who is saying to you, excuse me, आपके पास एक मसला है, या maybe you can organize yourself better, or maybe you need to diversify. Who's asking you those questions? Then corporate governance, along with your independent board, along with your independent chairman, is also suggesting to you कि आप board committees बनाएं, आप audit committee बनाएं, आप HR committee बनाएं, आप risk management committee बनाएं. क्यों? क्योंकि again, through that committee process, there is a group of people, and hopefully people who you've chosen, who are qualified, who will look at certain things. So your audit committee, internal control, fraud prevention, the related party transactions, financial planning, the integrity of your financial statements. Let me tell you, as an advisor, there are still a lot of businesses out there who are making money. So the issue is not whether they're making money or not, but they don't have a handle over their inventory control. Or they don't want to professionalize because they don't have a fraud prevention policy in place. So क्योंकि हम ये structures नहीं बना रहे हैं, हम अपने growth को रोक रहे हैं. और structures हम क्यों नहीं बना रहे हैं? क्योंकि हम समझ रहे हैं कि ये structures तो for some reason regulator ने हमें कहा है तुम बना लो, and we are suspicious. But actually, these structures will help you whether you are public or private. HR committee. Do you have succession planning? What is going to happen when that founder disappears? How many cousins do you have in your business? What are they going to be doing? Who is part of your technical team? Who understands this machinery which is now very old? You haven't thought about these things. How are you going to retain talent? What are you going to pay them? Because as a group of 3 people or 4 people who started that business, आपके पास तो time ही नहीं है. आप fraud prevention भी करेंगे, आप LC खोलने के लिए भी जाएंगे, आप treasury management भी करेंगे, and people are the last thing on your agenda. So if you have these committees, somebody is going to be looking at them. If you had a risk committee, a lot of businesses would have indigenized by now. Rather than saying, hum lut gaye, hum mar gaye, hamari LC to khuli nahi. Because nobody thought of it. Nobody plans forward. Nobody is thinking, you're thinking, okay, today, and the next 10 years, and the next 20 years. But what's going to happen after that? Is your business sustainable? So if you have a good board, if you create these committees, they're not just going to, I mean, the regulator is not sitting on these committees. PSX is not sitting on these committees. PSX or the regulator is not even asking you for minutes of meetings. But ये आपके लिए एक valuable चीज है. आप अपने businesses को organize करें and ask the right questions. Then the Code of Corporate Governance Regulations, it asks you, do you have a vision? Do you have a mission? Do you have core values? Do you have a corporate strategy? Do you have a plan? And कहने को तो, what do we need a vision, mission, core values for? But actually it's all about sitting down and just thinking, what is it that you want to do? Where is it that you're headed? That's all that that vision, mission is about. And who am I? And if I am one of those people who really believes in charity and really believes in CSR, because, you know, that's the sort of family I come from, how am I going to inculcate these values in the company when I'm not there? That's what vision, mission, and core values is all about. That's all it is. It's for you to sit down and think, where am I going? Why am I going in that direction? And what are the standards of behavior that are dear to me? And I want my company and the people who work for me and my children who work in the business to follow those same standards of behavior. That's all it is. Yes, the law is asking you to do this, but the law is giving you an opportunity to think about these things. Policies and processes. There are so many really good companies that at the end of the day falter because the policy framework doesn't exist. Because not everybody is following the guidelines. People are taking shortcuts. आप जितने भी successful होंगे ना, if people don't know how they are supposed to operate, somewhere along the line you are going to have a problem. So again, the law asks you to have a policy framework. It's not telling you what to put in those policies, but it is giving you an opportunity again to organize your business. That's all it is. Business continuity. Again, the law says to you, do you have a BCP plan? Are you a process-driven company or a personal-driven company? What are you going to do जिस दिन आपका founder वहाँ नहीं होगा? And it's something that we all need to think about. So there is a company in Brazil, and I read a World Bank case study of this company, and it's called Natura. And Natura is a family-owned business. They had been around for over 2 generations. Extremely profitable business in cosmetics and fragrance. But the founder of Natura decided, I need to, in inverted commas, corporatize and get listed on the stock exchange, not because I need the money, not because I'm going to become more profitable as a business, but I am worried about what is going to happen to the next generation. When I am not there as a founder, what is the second and the third generation going to do? So Natura decided, and it was a long process for them. It took them many years to put those building blocks in place, those corporate governance building blocks that I'm talking about, before they finally went public. And it was one of the most successful listings in the Brazilian stock market, which actually laid the fundamentals of the Brazilian stock market. And what happened? Okay, ये चल नहीं रहा है. Okay. So what happened? It wasn't just that they made money on the stock market. There was an increase in customer sales. There was an increase in customer sales. There was an increase in business collaborations because people, vendors and suppliers will collaborate with you because you are a transparent, well-run company. And that's the case whether you're public or private. So there was not just that they made money on the stock exchange and their listing was very successful. There was an increase in customer sales. There was an increase in business collaborations. And because everything was more professional, the founder was able to create strong internal management. So he was able to meet his own personal criteria, which was perpetuation of the company. So there's a very strong link between corporate governance and success. And that strong link between corporate governance and success is not doesn't help you only vis-a-vis the regulator. It helps you vis-a-vis your customers, your employees, your vendors, your suppliers, and civil society and communities. If you are a trustworthy company, you will be a more successful company. Now, there's a global survey I came across which Deloitte has done. And look at this finding. It's a global survey. You'll find it on the internet. I can give you the reference also. Trustworthy companies outperform their peers in market value by up to 4 times. By up to 4 times, being a trustworthy company. And 88% of customers will return to buy from the brand they trust. Why did we always want to buy Japanese electronics rather than Chinese electronics? It's all about trust, and the Chinese have realized that, and they're changing that perception. Deloitte survey also found that employee engagement goes up by 79%. If you are what they call a trustworthy company. And my last slide and my message to all of you. So Toshiba has delisted. It's going to be run by a consortium of private buyers. Okay? So there's no stock exchange anymore. There's no regulator that's going to be looking at it from a public shareholding perspective. However, their products will still be in the market. And they still need to show themselves to be a trustworthy company, whether they're public or private. So the takeaways for all of you today from my presentation on corporate governance is, bad corporate governance is not sustainable. If you don't have fraud prevention, if you don't have internal control, if you don't have succession, if you're not hiring the right talent to compete in the market, somewhere along the line, your company is going to falter. So bad corporate governance is not sustainable. And the last point is, reputation remains a key driver of success. Whoever you are, and whatever you're selling, whether it's cosmetics, whether it's textiles, whether it's electronics, whether you're B2B or B2C, whether you're listed or you're private or you're an AOP or a partnership. Reputation is a key driver of success. And reputation is linked to what some studies call trust maturity. And one of the main critical factors in trust maturity is corporate governance. So thank you very much.